Welcome everybody to Fearless Friday. I'm Tanya Eberhardt, founder of BrandFace, and we are here to help you differentiate yourself and your business, and we do that through personal branding.
Hi everybody, I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I started off as a client and now I'm a partner in the company, and we do Fearless Friday episodes to help people take the fear out of putting themselves out there. So welcome.
All right, today we've got such a fantastic guest for you, and she's become a friend of ours as well, Christina Daves. Let me tell you just a little bit about Christina. So she is a serial entrepreneur, award-winning inventor, and author of PR for Anyone. She shares how she started her business without any experience in PR and no media contacts, and ended up in over 50 media outlets in the first year, and to date, over 1,000. Christina calls her story her lucky break, how an unfortunate incident, which she'll tell us about, led to $1 million idea. She also teaches business owners and entrepreneurs today how to use free publicity to catapult their own visibility. So welcome, Christina.
Hi, it's so great to be with you guys.
Thank you for coming on the show. Tell us, first of all, just a little bit about that lucky break you're talking about.
Yeah, that's how it all started. I had a freak accident and broke my foot. And I know so many of you have been in those big, ugly medical boots. And we were headed to New York City, you know, fashion capital of the world. So I'm certain there's something in New York that's going to make this boot look better. So I'm on the train on the way up and I'm Googling medical boot fashions, medical boot accessories. And there was nothing on the market. So I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. So the light bulbs go off. And I swear my husband knew right away because he goes, oh, here we go again. But I invented a fashion line for them. And it was everybody loved the idea. It was super fun. It changed the whole negative of the boot to a positive. But what I didn't realize is I had created a whole new space in the marketplace. So no one knew they needed to decorate their medical boots. And that put me in a really interesting place, because I had to figure out, I had spent so much money on manufacturing. I had no money for advertising, no money to hire a PR firm. But if I didn't sell some product, I was going to be in really big trouble because we had mortgaged our house. We had maxed out credit cards. So it was kind of do or die to learn publicity.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right? Always, always. All right, well, we've got some questions for you today about being fearless through that journey and anything else you've done. And Michael, kick it off.
Yeah, okay. So the obvious question is, you know, we all face fear in one form or the other. I'm sure you have 100 stories that you could tell, but tell us one story of fear, either personally or in business, that you overcame and how you did it.
Right. So right now, the majority of my business and how I meet people is speaking in front of big crowds, doing this kind of stuff. And I was someone who was paralyzed when it came to doing this. It was so bad that my first television appearance, which was a kind of an accidental thing, was the Steve Harvey show. And I called my friend who's a hypnotist. I'm like, Brian, you got to hypnotize me over the phone. I can't do it. Like, I can't.
That's great.
But I had a business mentor, or I still have a business mentor, but at that time we were spending, you know, a lot of time together. And he kept saying, Christina, you have to speak. You have to tell your story. It's so inspirational. I'm like, Peter, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. So on a Monday, he texted me and said, what are you doing Wednesday at noon? So I'm thinking, oh, it's our monthly lunch date, you know, that we always go and brainstorm. And I said, sure, I'm free. And he said, good. I just backed out of a speaking engagement and I put you in it. He said, don't worry, it's small, 15 people, you'll be fine. You're talking about being pushed off a cliff. And it's my mentor. I can't let him down. You know that. Of course he knew I was going to go try. I was so bad. So I literally had a piece of paper and I'm trying to do my slides and I'm reading and I have no saliva in my mouth. I was terrible, but everybody loved the story. They didn't care that I wasn't this great dynamic speaker. They wanted to learn more about me and what I had done and how I had built this business. And I was like, maybe I should learn this. So I mean, I practiced a lot. Like my first video was sticky notes, and it was like, my name is Christina Daves. You know, I'm going all around my laptop. You know, and now I speak in front of, you know, 10,000 people a year. I'm on television every single month. I never would have dreamed that. If Peter hadn't thrown me off the cliff, it probably never would have happened. I got over it. I'm not nervous at all anymore. I get on stages and it's like a drug. I get so excited. I love it.
Yeah, well, that's the way we are. Yeah, very much. It does become sort of addictive. So.
It's awesome. But if you had said 3 years ago that I would be doing all of this, absolutely not.
That's what makes the story even more intriguing. Hey, how did the hypnotism work? That's what I want to know.
Oh, he didn't even do it. No, but he gave me the best piece of advice that I will tell everybody watching, whether you're on a stage or you get on television or you're doing an interview like this and you're nervous. He said, Christina, nobody in that audience wants to see you fail. They're all there. They're all excited for you. They're rooting for you. And I scanned the audience. I was still deathly nervous, but there was a woman, she was, I don't know, probably 65, 70-year-old African-American kind of grandmother looking. She had on a red sweater. I can still see her face, and our eyes locked, and she smiled, and I'm like, I've got this. I'll be okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And he's right. Nobody wants to, you know, nobody's watching this saying, oh, is she going to mess up?
Right. No, hey, that's an excellent point. You know, that's because being Fearless Friday, I mean, that's the whole purpose of why we put this out there, is to explain to people that it's not necessarily the way you picture it, right? And yeah, that's a great way to put that, because it's true. I find people, they're not there to root you into failure. You know what I mean? They, you know, most people respect it very much because they know that it's a very big thing to overcome, and they haven't had the reason in many times to overcome that. So they respect it very much if you're willing to get up in front of people.
Yeah. And everybody has something they're afraid of.
Yeah, of course.
In personally and in business. We won't talk about snakes. That's all.
That's what I was going to say. That's mine. Snakes and places.
I knew we were kindred spirits, because that is my number one fear. I mean, people are going to mail us both rubber snakes after this.
Oh, but, and my husband is a country guy, and he thinks it's funny if there's a snake in the yard, he puts it on a stick and he'll come chasing me around with it. I'm like, that's just torture. It's horrible. He's like, it's just a black snake. I'm like, whoa.
No, that's the reason I bought a gun. I'm not kidding. And
I hope you're a good shot, because a snake is not very good.
I know. Well, see, you just have to convince yourself that that's all you need. I mean, it's all about perception. I have a gun. I just call it my snake gun. I mean, that's how serious I am about this too. I get it. Okay. So I'm curious to know, is there any kind of particular experience, situation, or person that keeps you fearless? Because I know you talked about Peter, you talked about your friend Peter, you know, so like what keeps you on that fearless vein?
You know, it's really funny. I had a call right before this with a new member in a networking group that I'm in that I love. And we were talking about this. I said, oh, I'm going on a podcast about it's Fearless Friday. Because he said, you just seem so, I'm a big universe person, and I'm not a woo-woo girl. Like, it's not like that. I just truly believe that things will work themselves out. So I'm maybe more willing to take some risks. It took my husband a long time to jump on board with this. Now we've been together 23 years. He's like, okay, I got it. You'll be fine. But if you don't risk it, if you don't try things you're scared of, you're never going to get to that next level. Like, you've really got to push yourself and go through the fear. And then there'll be something else, you know, there'll be another obstacle or something else that scares you. But I just think to get where you want to be, you just really have to push yourself through it and just face it and try it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
For sure.
That's very true. And I have to say something about a cool story about Michael. When we first met, we were doing some video, and he was telling the story about how he became an auctioneer and what drew him into it in the first place. And he was 7 years old at the time. and he saw this auctioneer pull up, and he pulled up in this awesome Cadillac, and he's got this, Rolex watch on, and all these rings and this trench coat. He's dressed to the nines, and it's like he asked his dad, "Who's that guy?" And his dad said, "Oh, that's Steve the auctioneer." And Michael knew at that moment that's what he wanted to be, right? So it's all if you can envision yourself where you want to be, it makes it easier to push through the fear, because he also talks about the very first time he ever got on the stand as an auctioneer. And in the video, he says exactly your story, Christina. He said, "I was terrible."
Yeah, I was.
I was terrible.
It was awful. My dad wouldn't even stand beside me when I got off the stand. Like, even he was embarrassed. Like, I was like, this.
And aren't you now like one of the top auctioneers in the country?
Yes, he is. He's America's top selling real estate auctioneer, and he still
That's
does
a volume thing. That's a volume thing. But
yeah, but it is.
I've been doing it 26 years now, so I guess I learned a little bit about it. But
that's so important. We all start at zero.
Right.
You're not born with all this experience to speak or auctioneer. You've got to learn it. I always say it's muscle memory. The more you do things, the more you practice, just the easier it gets. But know that everybody starts here with nothing, and then with everything we start with nothing.
That's right.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote. That's a tweet.
Write that down.
Write that down. That's true. And I think, when we're in sports and we're young, we hear from our coaches, keep your eye on the ball, keep your eye on the ball, right? And that's what, if we just keep our eye on the ball, then all the fear and all the things we have to do to go through to get to where we need to be all come together. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it does all come together.
Nope. And right along those lines, I'm a big hockey fan. Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That you don't take. That's
yep.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And along with that story, that sort of matches what you were talking about, Christina, that same auctioneer that was my mentor, I was young and starting in a business that I had maybe a couple of years tops. And they asked us in a meeting if somebody would do a charity auction for this young lady that was sick, young girl that was sick and was right. We didn't know what it was at the time. And he goes, "Yeah, me and Monkey will do it." That's what he called me, Monkey. He said, "Me and Monkey will do it." It was like on a Saturday. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to do it. And I'm like, "Man, what are you?" And then he didn't show up. And so I'm the only one that showed up. But what happened was all the major news stations in Atlanta were there, because it turned out this little girl needed a kidney. And we were raising money. They had Moby was there. Remember Moby, Tanya?
Yes,
and Moby,
from Atlanta.
Yeah. And he even endorsed us years later. But he was there. It was a big deal, like all this. And so he got his just due in the end for throwing me into that hot pot. But then he didn't show up, and I got all the glory for it. It was pretty cool. So, change of events.
But sometimes that's what you need. It's just somebody.
It really was. Yeah, it was a big boost. You know what I mean? And it just goes with what you're saying. Was made to did it. Just did it.
Do it, right.
And that's the key. That is so much the key. So if your peers or competitors have criticized you in the past, how did you deal with that?
I will tell you, I got on my Facebook page, which has a lot of people on it, a PR company, a PR publicist, who told me I was selling snake oil. And that I was taking people's money, and there was no way that you could get on national television without paying for it. And I'm thinking, but I've been on national television and I didn't pay for it. And I have clients who've been on national television and didn't pay for it. So, I mean, how did I deal with it? It made me feel really icky. I'll tell you when I saw that, I deleted the post, but it makes you realize that when you start to threaten people in your space, some people can get mean, and I don't like mean people. So I blocked him from my page, but it's definitely something I have to be aware of, because what I'm teaching is outside of the norm. It used to be PR firms, they had this coveted Rolodex. That was their golden, they had the phone numbers. Well, everybody can do it now. You know, I can teach you exactly how to find the journalist in your space, and I've done it. I do it every single day. I've picked up the phone and talked to them. I've tweeted at them. I've done all the things that I teach. I walk the walk. But it's important to know that that's threatening to other people in the space, and you just have to believe in what you're doing. And I think I am helping a lot more people who can't afford PR firms, who have every right to the visibility that the people who have all the money who could hire a PR firm. So I'm standing firm with what I'm doing, but
no, that's perfect. You know, it's we teach that, you know, when you start to get some of that opposition, it's when you know it's working. Like when you, that's a very good indicator that you are headed in the right direction, because now you're stepping on some toes. And, you know, it's usually not real toes you're stepping on. It's perceived toes. You know, it's very funny. It probably wasn't a huge, mega successful PR firm because they already know the secret that they were holding, and the fact that you figured it out, you know, they wouldn't hold that against you. And we find that to be the case. And but we love it when people show opposition because we know it's working.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we ran into that. And of course, you know, anytime you kind of put yourself out there as you do and as we do, you're going to have haters. You know, you're going to have them from time to time. They're going to post negative things or just strange comments on your feed. And they post a lot on our Facebook ads, you know, some people do. And so we just went at them with it. So we did a video called Haters and Why We Love Them. And we put it on YouTube. So it's on our YouTube channel if you guys want to search it. But it's basically teaching. At the time we were teaching our real estate agents how to deal with negative comments and things like that. Because as you rise in recognition and your fan base grows and things like that, you'll find that becomes stronger and stronger. And it's just humanity. But we taught people basically how to deal with those things in a very cool way. So you're always going to deal with it for sure.
Right.
So Christina, who are one of your top, let's say your top one or two mentors, either professionally or personally?
Yeah, so I mentioned on a personal level, nobody would know who he is. He's just a local businessman. But someone that I follow in my space is Gary Vee. Little colorful, but what I love about him is he's always looking for what's next in our space, and that's so important because this stuff, you know, the social media part of it changes so quickly, and you know, the early adopters are the ones. I always say that, like when LinkedIn started video, I told all my clients, get on video on LinkedIn, get on there, because the early birds get the worm. They get the algorithm juice. When Facebook Live was hot, or when it started, you know, jump on there, and then it got hot, and all those people who started early. So I always like someone who's, you know, just going beyond, you know, what everyday stuff, and, you know, what's coming, and what does he think? And I don't always agree, but I like to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I do too. Anybody else?
That's my big one that I follow. I mean, I've had, and I think this is really important. You want different mentors when you're at different stages in your business. Sure. When I launched Cosmetic, this is a funny story if you want to talk about a mentor. So I met this gentleman at I was at a pitching event where you get angel money for Cosmetic, and we just clicked, and he was lovely, and his name is Steve, and we've been friends now 10 years, and I go to New York and we have dinner, and 3 years into it, as the PR for anyone was evolving, he says, you really should meet my son. My son's a speaker. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, my son's an author too. And I put two and two together. His last name is Sinek. I said, Simon. I said, Simon is your son? He goes, you don't know Simon Sinek. I'm like, yes, I do.
Yep. The why.
The why, yeah. So Steve Sinek is one of my mentors. My friend, I just saw him a couple of weeks ago when I was in New York. But you just never know who you're going to meet and who they are. And I don't know. I've been truly blessed to have some really, you know, powerful mentors who have helped me at different phases of my business.
Yeah, that's an excellent point too. That's really, but they always tend to show up when you need them, and that's the other thing that's about getting rid of fear and just doing what it is that you feel led to do, like, and following your heart. You know, I'm a big I love The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho because of that. It just talks about finding what it is that you are supposed to do, and then following that through whatever fear and whatever loss and whatever gain. And if you see it all as a lesson, then in the end, you're going to get the value that you're looking for. It's absolutely going to be there. And it's those mentors show up when they're needed.
And I use a great analogy, and somebody said this to me years ago, and I can't remember who it was, but I use this when I speak on this type of topic, like mindset. We're all fifth graders. So it's our job to mentor the third graders. Like, remember when you were in elementary school in third grade and you're like, oh, fifth graders, they're so cool. So it's your job to be that person that they can look up to and help. But then you need to find the eighth grader who can help you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all
very
cyclical.
true.
You know, there's always going to be somebody who needs you, and there's going to be somebody who you need. And again, the universe, if you're willing to give, like you said, it just comes to you.
Right. It does. So that segues into like, okay, we know that if there's people out there, when people are watching this and they're trying to get an idea of, okay, how am I going to dispel this fear? What's the piece of advice that you would give them besides just do it? Like what else do you think? What would be the next layer of something that you would say to them? You know, okay, they make the decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this business. I'm setting everything else aside. I'm going to focus on what would be like the next thing that you would tell them to alleviate whatever fear might be hiding after that decision's made.
Yeah. So obviously that's the most important one. And just ask. You know, I raised my kids with that. The worst anyone's going to say is no. So don't be afraid to ask. But I would say the next thing is, and I do this too, and I know you guys do, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Who are, you know, we're not good at everything.
That's why I hang out with Tanya.
Yeah.
And that's why we get along so well right there.
But you know, I raised my kids are 21 and 19, and I feel sorry for some of their friends because these parents are telling them, you're the best athlete, you're the best student, you're the best singer, you're the best swimmer, you're the best. And I'm like, no, you're not. You know, I said to my kids, you're not good at everything. We all have strengths, and you're really good at certain things, but you've got to know if you go into business what you're not good at, and bring those people in, surround yourself with those people, because if you're trying to do everything and there's stuff you're not good at, your business won't succeed. It won't. You can't do it all. You're not good at everything. I'm sorry.
You don't offend us at all. We get it. Yeah.
And it is just really important to find those puzzle pieces, because you will have so much success so much faster. And that'll help you with the fear, because your fear is probably the fear of doing the things you're not good at.
Yes.
So true. So true. And I think, you know, why we make such good partners is, you know, I put the systems, the processes, the creativity to it. Michael is a visionary. He sees things like from the whole perspective, that, you know, bird's eye view perspective, and can kind of see where things are headed. And I'm so fortunate, you know, to have that in him as a partner. And I think you do have to realize like where your shortcomings are. You know, I'm not that good at being the visionary. I'm good at, today we're doing this, right? So you got to kind of know where your own strengths are. Yeah. What would you say your greatest strength is? Just throwing it out there.
No, and I'm more like Michael. I'm the idea girl. Like that's, you know, I'll do these podcasts and people will, okay, Christina, well, I'm trying to get media and this is my thing. And I can pull that stuff out quick. But when you talk about systems and organization, remember, I just hired somebody and she used to work for a colleague of mine. And the sole reason I hired her is because he said she's so organized and will get your systems in place. I'm like, oh, that's what I need. Because that is my biggest weakness. I'm the idea girl. I like to figure out what's next. How can I help people? How can I, you know, I like to just be creative and do that. And I'm not good with the systemization part.
Hey, that's okay. That's why they put other people in your life. That the universe exists for that very reason.
Yeah.
So how do people get in touch with you, Christina? Tell them how to contact you and how to learn more.
Yeah, ChristinaDaves.com. super easy. Christina's with a CH, or the company's PR for anyone. But what I do is that you can Google me, and I'm 14 pages of Google, so I'm super easy to find.
There you go. That's the benefit of PR for anyone, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm doing my job.
Well placed, Neil. Yes.
Well, Christina, it's been so wonderful having you on. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. And we'll let Michael close us out today.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Christina. We thank you. And we thank you for your friendship also. So if anybody's interested in talking about your brand, we are here. If you want to schedule a free 30-minute phone call with us, go to discussyourbrand.com and book a session. We'd love to talk to you about it. Whether you want to know more about branding, whether you are branded or think you're branded, you want to be sure you're branded, or anything to do with brand, we will help you with that. And then, of course, I like to always end things with a very upbeat, ending. Prosperity, folks, it favors the bold. So be bold, especially when it comes to starting your dreams and kicking that fear out of the way. Tanya.
All right. Thank you, Michael and Christina, and everybody. We will see you next time on Fearless Friday.
Bye-bye.